Peter's Harry. How are you, sir?
Harry Hurley, good morning.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I have been a fan of yours for so long you don't even know it. And I just think that the fact that we have this opportunity this morning to talk about Saved by the Bell, one of your bodies of work, and I've been mentioning in the run-up to bringing you on this morning, Peter, that this is truly a show that introduced into pop culture talking about what teenagers, deal with at school and peer pressure. And I have to say this, not just to be gratuitous or friendly, Peter. For the 1990s, you were doing something that is very current now in 2016 into 2017. Do you agree?
I agree.
How did you come up with the concept?
The concept. I was under contract to NBC, and as you know in my book, I was saved by the bell, stories of life, love, and dreams that do come true. And I had so many woulda, coulda, shoulda shows that lasted a month or half a season, and I never had that hit that I was looking for, that I needed. And I understood last night for the first time, as I've been out doing these interviews now for about 3 or 4 weeks since the book came out. And Brandon Tartikoff came to me. I was under contract, the president of NBC, and he said to me, I want to do live action on Saturday morning. And as the New York Times said to me 2 years later, when we were in 85 countries and on not only Saturday morning, but syndication and all over, they say 11, 12 times a week, he said to me, and what did you do? I said, I told Brandon to get someone else. I didn't want to do it. And so I went home that night, and my wife said to me, how was your day? I said, Brandon wants me to do a live-action show on Saturday morning. And she said, it's great. I said, what's great about it? She said, well, it's wonderful. I said, well, who cares about kids' shows? She said, how about our kids? I said, I think that's a good idea. I'll go back. So I went back, told Brandon I'd have a show for him in 3 weeks. And then I came up with a high school that I wanted to go to. Well, I went to a 4-story walk-up in West Side of Manhattan. I wanted to go to Bayside High.
I love it.
I'm looking at the ocean right now, though it's early in the morning here. It's only 6:40. I'm looking at the ocean, and I'm saying that's the kind of school. I want to go to school like that. I want to go to school in California, etc.
Peter, are you surprised how many people today remember and love the show, and of course new lgenerations that are watching it for the first time?
Absolutely. Well, let me give you an example. Yeah. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the biggest name on Broadway, right?
Yeah.
In probably years or ever. He was a huge fan of the show. So he invited me to see his show, Hamilton, in June. So I sat there. It was wonderful. I met him on the stage, right, afterwards. Now, I was only in one Saved by the Bell, and that was in Palm Desert, a 2-parter in our adventure series.
Yeah.
Because we had 2 time slots after the first 2 years. We had the school episodes, and we had the adventures. And I was only in that one show, although on Last Comic Standing, I was always on. The network insisted I be the one to throw the people off who broke the rules, right?
Yeah.
They insisted it was me.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the stage. He walks towards me with arms open wide, Harry. And he says, in the voice I used in 1992, when I make this putt, you'll owe me $1,000. And I said to him, I bet you're rehearsing that all day. He said, for 3 days.
I love it.
I think he knew more about the show than I did.
There's so many people that, and I'm sure you, even as famous as you are and the great work that you've done, just that example, you almost are surprised at some of the people that love this show, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Which I think is neat. Look, I said earlier this morning, Peter, that I'm not afraid to say I love the Mickey Mouse Club. I love Spin and Marty. I loved Saved by the Bell. And I'll tell you what I loved about it, too. I loved the topics that you were willing to tackle. You talk about courage. This was an era that nobody was talking about. Everybody kept quiet. Nobody talked about any of these topics that you guys tackled. And did you understand at the time that this show was actually having an impact in pop culture?
Not only was it having an impact in pop culture, but it was having an impact on a whole we call it bell gen, around the world. But we weren't sure of what it was, exactly, we weren't sure right away. Just remember, our lead-in was Chipmunks. I mean, forget that 2 years later, I had the whole block with California Dreams, Bell, City Guys, etc. My lead-in with Chipmunks and my lead-out with Smurfs, and I was against a raisin, a bear, and a rabbit. And I didn't know if anyone would find us in that environment.
What did you, when in this era, you were literally a hit maker. It was like everything that Peter Engel touched, you'd always see your name. I always saw your name, Peter Engel. I said, I want to talk to this guy someday. So when your book came out, and we have this opportunity to help promote the fact that Peter Engel is terrific, but also that he has a great book out, I Was Saved by the Bell, Stories of Life, Love, and Dreams That Do Come True. You can pick it up at the usual suspects. You can pick it up within 2 days, Amazon Prime at Amazon.com. It's a book that I know you will be just fascinated with. And, you turn the pages. It is so neat how you approached all this, and I love the way that, of course, that you were able to tie in the name of the show within the name of the book title. You did it well.
Well, it was a journey, Harry. I mean, it's a journey, and it's a journey of ups and downs and heartbreak and shows that coulda, woulda, shoulda, might have, didn't. And some of those things I tried to do in the late 70s with a show called Sorota's Court. And we were just drifted away, although the critics were raving.
Let's see how you tackle this one, Peter, because I'm sure you did work that you thought this can't miss. It's got to hit. It's great work. You know it's great, but it doesn't hit. What is it? When does lightning capture in a bottle and you get something like Saved by the Bell that just hits it as big as it did, and then of course the work that follows, because now you're really you're a hit, and so the next thing you do is a hit, and the next thing you do, what is there a way to explain the American people and what they like and what they don't like?
What they like is when you respect them, okay? And for the first time ever, I was driving to a surprise party for Mario Lopez where I was a surprise speaker, and the guy who was driving me said, "You really made those kids." I said, No, they made me. They were magic, okay? They were lightning in the bottle. They were the Yankees when the Yankees were the Yankees, okay? They never missed.
The chemistry on your show was incredible.
And when you have it, you have it, and when you don't, you don't. And it was magic the first day I ever got them all together.
Peter, let me ask you this, because I'm not sure how much time you have this morning. I could talk to you all year. Are you surprised? Does anything – because you never know. There's child actors that are very, very good at one age, and then you just forget about them. They don't make it into adult, acting careers. Mario Lopez, unquestionably – successful to this very moment on multiple platforms. Mark Paul Gosselaar, top-rated TV show. Tiffany Amber Thiessen has had success. Elizabeth Berkley has had success. And I can name a few others. Are you surprised that they have had the longevity that they have had?
No, not at all. They were magical. They were magical. And in Saved by the Bell, they played their own ages, except for Screech, who was 11. I misread his birthday. And I remember saying to Mark Paul, well, he's such a kid. What's with him? He says, well, he's only 11. I said, only 11? It was after the second episode. No, they were professional. They were each great personalities in their own light. Forget the characters I created for them to play. And they were tremendous. I mean, we went to Hawaii, went to Las Vegas,
yeah.
we went all over. We were doing things. We did a homeless show.
Do me a favor. I'm going to take a 60-second break. I want to see if you can stay for a little bit longer. I'm not sure when your next hit is, Peter, but you'll let me know. And if you got to get out, you got to get out, and hopefully we can meet again. But if you have a couple of more minutes, I want to ask you, what do you believe is the most either significant or difficult, however you want to put it, difficult storyline that Saved by the Bell actually made it on air to address? We'll see if Peter has a couple of more minutes when we come back. You know, the riders and everything that I had to work through, but he is staying for a little while longer, and we are very, very fortunate about that. All right, so Peter, take it away. What is the most challenging, substantial, difficult, however you want to put it, storyline that you got on the air?
Okay, the storyline I got is the infamous, famous Jesse song, where Jesse takes caffeine pills, okay? That I wrote 11 of the 100, and I rewrote every one of them. Jesse's song was about a show about peer pressure, that she had so much going on. That's Elizabeth Berkley, with all her causes. Remember, she was the first empowered feminist that you loved. And she was trying to get into Stanford and the SATs, and she was in the Hot Sundays, which was a music act. And she took pills because she was overwhelmed. The story wasn't about pills, but what happened was we wrote it as if she was taking amphetamine speed. Speed is very dangerous, right? We're sitting in a meeting with the network. The network goes, no way. On Saturday morning, can she take speed? And the script was already Tom Tenowich had written, and they said, "What?" I said, "Well, what else could it be?" And Tom Tenowich piped up saying, "Caffeine pills." I didn't even know what caffeine pills were. I just wanted to get out of the meeting. So they said fine. I said fine, but we never changed a word. It was written as though, and we never changed a word. And people made fun of it years later, like she was on heroin, but not our audience. They were sitting in the audience when she and Mark Paul had that scene where they were crying, actually crying. Audience, girls in the audience and boys were crying.
Wow.
We had hit a nerve. My daughter, who worked on the show, she was a year younger than them in the summers as a PA. All my kids worked on our shows as PAs when they were teenagers. And it was overwhelming the shock of what that was. I did not write the 17 Jesse, but I kept insisting on one more take. And in the control room, my producers and my director, no, they can't. They have one more. And they did. And that became, forget what they were taking, right? She was taking. That became, she even did that on Dancing with the Stars. They did. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And that episode was a breakthrough. Now, we did a marijuana episode. Yep. We did a drunk driving episode. We did later on. We did a oil spill episode. We also, we did a lot of things like that. But this was the one, Harry, that stood out.
Peter, was there ever a storyline that you wanted to do, but you either censors or whatever, management, politics, whatever, was there ever a storyline that you wished you could have delivered, but you weren't able to go there?
Never.
I mean, to be given that free a hand, because what you did then, nobody was doing what you did. That's why this was what I call lightning in a bottle. And what's neat is having this conversation with the legendary Peter Engel, and every single episode of Saved by the Bell or any of the other programs that we've mentioned this hour with Peter, they all end with the same 4 words: executive producer Peter Engel. What I love that you said earlier, and it really tells me a lot about you, as I always say, the leader gives credit to the team. The leader always gets the credit. You don't have to give yourself the credit. The leader always gets the credit. I give you the credit. You're the executive producer. You're the man. You're the reason that this happened. But you say that when someone said, "Hey, you made all these kids," like if Mario Lopez does some kind of nice thing about you today, it's like, "Hey, well, you made him." You say, "No, they made me." I love that. I love that about you. I love that you said it. So now I want to turn the tide and make you talk about yourself. What do you consider to be your greatest personal, and then I'll give you a second category, professional achievements? My
personal and professional.
Do both. Do personal first.
My personal is the book's dedicated to my 3 heroes, my children. Laura, my joy; Joshua, my heart; and Stephen, my soul. And if you read about how Joshua went to Sudan to help the people during the Civil War, and how Stephen went to Ghana to help him and to Uganda and Nigeria to help him. I raised my kids to stand up for those who couldn't. That's my biggest accomplishment. My three heroes, my children. On the other side of the coin, I was thinking last night. I sent an email to the kids. I said I finally figured it out after all these years what I was about. Okay, I've done about 80 interviews since the 4 weeks the book came out. Right. And I finally figured it out. I was watching a show on NBC called This Is Us, which is really, I've never seen before, which is really fabulous.
Terrific.
Okay? And I turned it off. I sent an email to my kids, and I said, I finally figured it out. It was never about the money, the power, or the fame. I wanted to make a difference. And I did.
Wow. So that would be your greatest professional achievement.
I made a difference in a whole generation worldwide.
Wow.
And that was it. And it's funny, last night, about 11 o'clock, I wrote this down. I made a difference.
That is so powerful, and it's I imagine it's cathartic, and it's just really, even self-empowering that you have this epiphany during your tour. And we're reviewing Peter's new book. Get the book. I'm telling you, it is such a good read. I Was Saved by the Bell, Stories of Life, Love, and Dreams That Do Come True. How exciting was it for you as a professional? Because you've done great work, but to get recognized and to have such an award-winning hit on your hands, I imagine that's a good feeling, isn't it?
If I hadn't had my heart broken 90 times, I don't think the victory would have been as beautiful and astonishing as it was.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you don't have failures, success does not taste nearly as good, and I totally agree with that. And I'll tell you, I love the thing. I have 3 children myself. Mine are 33, 30, and 27, and I feel the way about them that you spoke of your 3 beautiful children, and that you just in a few words, you've said a lot here today, but in a few words, you say all the right things. You appear to do all the right things. What is your advice to your readers, to your listeners right now, Peter Engel, to inspire them to stay true to their values, their passions? What do you say to them?
I say dream big dreams, because big dreams are as hard to accomplish as small dreams. And have a passion for what you do. And never, 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 ever let anyone steal your dream. Never, never let anyone scare you out of your dream. And never, ever, ever, ever give up.
Powerful stuff. Now, this was a hit in the 1990s. It's been, I said something earlier, but I couldn't prove it. Has this always been on air since it was in first run?
Well, we only had 40 episodes when we went into first-run syndication, so we would turn out new episodes, play them once, and send them to syndication. But we were finding out that our second, third, and fourth runs on NBC were rating higher than our first runs. It was just a magical thing. It was magic, and it was the highlight of my life. And as Baby said to Johnny in Dirty Dancing, I had the time of my life.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Before we run out of time, what made the year now, 2016, the time where Peter Engel would revisit Saved by the Bell? And I always believe that old is oftentimes new again. I could see. I'll tell you what I loved. I don't know if you loved it, but I loved it when Jimmy Fallon had your cast. And boy, have they aged gracefully, Peter. It looked like Bayside High. I couldn't believe it. And you know what I'm talking about, Jimmy Fallon.
I was blown away. They froze my name at the end of the credits.
Yeah, just like they should.
I was blown away. Blown away. I even called them up. And I said, were those really the numbers on... I said, I couldn't have done it better than you guys. Were those the numbers on the lockers? Because I never paid attention. They said, yes. I said, I thought it was Zach's locker, Kelly's locker, Slater's locker. And I called my son, who works for YouTube, still works for YouTube, and Josh was working for them in Singapore. Now he's in New York. And I said to him, how many hits do you think we'll get tonight? And he said, I think to 1 million to 1.5 million. I went, no way. Harry, we got 35 million hits.
I'm telling you, I was one of them, and I watched it live, and I DVR'd it, then I YouTubed it, because I thought, oh, my gosh, this is like the reunion show that I always wanted to see.
It was, and that's why people say, are you going to – no, I said, it's done. It's done. They did it. And then I said, I've been working on the book for 5 years. I said, I got to get this book out now. And it's out. It took me almost 2 years to get it out.
Was the casting of Mario Lopez, Mark Paul Gosselaar, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Elizabeth Berkley, Dustin Diamond, let's not leave out your great principal, Dennis Haskins.
Lark Voorhees.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, Carol Lawrence, and you could keep going on and on. Dustin Diamond, if I didn't say him. Was this casting just sort of, was this luck? I mean, because chemistry, sometimes you don't know chemistry.
Yeah, you got it, you don't have it. No, it wasn't luck. I kept calling my casting director every morning, and at the end of the day, if we don't, no Zach, no show, no Zach, no show. And of course, I had written, and he came in the next day, and I said, this kid speaks English, he's got the part. And he just had that twinkle, and that magic, and that charisma. And Lark Voorhees, I wrote her as a Jewish-American princess who moves to California, Malquin. And they brought her in to see me, just a meet and greet. I said, have her read. And they said, have her read what? I said, Lisa Turtle, but she's not black. I said, she is now. Same thing with Mario. It was supposed to be an Anglo, John Travolta type. They were magic. They were magic. And they never, Harry, ever missed. And I think I got to go.
And by the way, thanks for picking me up on that, because I left Lisa Turtle out. She was fabulous.
Yes, she was.
Peter, I know you've got to go. Great to visit with you. Great success on the book, and continued success. You've been terrific.
Thank you, my friend. It was my joy.
Thank you, Peter. Be well.
Bye.